This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, the Game Boy Geek here. Gencon is upon us. Next week, we'll be there. I'll be there all week, Wednesday through Sunday, looking at all the games, trying to get a ton of new games to review, checking out what's there. Now, what I'm going to do here is give you my top games for Gencon. I did two things. Number one is I've gotten the privilege to review some of the games that I was most interested in coming out at Gencon, either about to be released at Gencon or had just released over the last couple weeks, but was really releasing at Gencon. So I'm going to talk about those games first, and then after that I'm going to talk about the top 5 that I haven't yet played that I'm really interested in. Here we go. All right, again, these are games in no particular order that I have just reviewed that are coming out at Gencon that I think you should check out. The first is Secret Hitler. This is a social deduction game that I just reviewed a couple days ago, similar to the Resistance Avalon, where one side is the liberals, the other side are the fascists, and in that fascist side, someone is secretly Hitler. Hitler, for the most part, can't see his other teammates, and they're trying to get him elected at a certain point in the game. And the liberals are trying to kill Hitler or get a lot of their policies done. Similar to Resistance, the Resistance itself, but it plays very differently. They've streamlined a lot of it. It's easier to teach than the Resistance Avalon, but it does have some confounded information where someone does something bad. You don't know whether it was some randomness with the tiles they drew or whether they're really bad. So go watch my review there to learn more, and that's Secret Hitler. By the way, that game raised over almost $1.5 million on Kickstarter, and it's hugely popular. Next one is Oceanos from Yellow. This is Antoine Bowser, the guy who designed Seven Wonders, designs a family-level drafting game. It is a lot of fun for families. It's got very cute artwork. You're underwater. The best part about this game is you are creating your submarine and upgrading different parts of your submarine to give you different special abilities. You're trying to get as many different animals in your aquarium as possible. You're trying to line up treasures so you can send your scuba divers down there. You're building your own tableau. You're trying to get coral to be all adjacent to each other. A lot of different angles that you can take in this family level drafting game, and that'll be at the Yellow booth. That's Oceanos. Next one is the new 10th anniversary of Mr. Jack. They redid all of the artwork, all the characters look 10 years older, but the biggest difference is they redesigned the board and tweaked it so that it's much more 50-50. The original version was more 60-40 in favor of the investigators. I played this game a lot now, and it truly is 50-50. I might even think it might be tipped slightly to Jack, which I really love because none of the versions of this game are like that. So if you've liked Mr. Jack at all, if you've missed out, this is the version to go check out at Gen Con. That will be at the Asmodee booth. Next one is America. This is using the engine that was built on a game called Fauna and Terra. Those were sort of Euro-style trivia games by Freedom and Freeze. This one is coded down by Ted Alsbach from Bezier Games. So this will be at the Bezier Games booth. This is a trivia game that has re-implemented a lot of the mechanisms that made Terra and Fauna popular, where you get to choose which trivia card you want to come up, and you're trying to guess about years and where geography, which state it's in, and certain numbers about that. And the interesting thing is you don't have to know the answer, you just have to get close or know who does know, because if you can put your cube next to somebody else's answer, you score points. Or if you think nobody is going to get it right, you can score points by saying you're all wrong. Really fun. This is going to be the next wave of trivia games, hugely popular. That's America. The next one, last one here, is Beyond Baker Street. This is a game that uses mechanisms similar to a game called Hanabi. It's a cooperative game where you don't look at your own cards, but you can see everybody else's. You're giving them clues about cards to help find the motive, the opportunity, and the suspect. Very interesting game here. It's very rich with the theme and the cards and the artwork, and you're trying to solve the crime before Sherlock Holmes. And again, really fun. It doesn't matter how many players you play with, 2 to 4. Very good. You can ratchet up the difficulty of this quite a bit, and you're going for a true victory, not just an arbitrary score. So if you like cooperative games and you like Hanabi at all, this takes that to a completely different level that I love. So those are 5 games that I've already reviewed. Above me were little snippets of there that you can click and see those reviews. I highly recommend checking those reviews out and then go into those booths if that looks good to you. Now, let's go on to the 5 that I have not yet played that I believe are all releasing at Gen Con and will actually be for sale there. Here we go.
Number 5.
My number 5 is by Renegade Game Studios, and it's designed by Kane Klenko, and this is called Covert. This is a spy game. It has a lot to do with dice, and you're using these dice to activate things on the board, but you can only place those dice next to dice that are one value higher or lower. You're also trying to figure out combinations and manipulate combinations and changing numbers around and trying to go to different spots and do special missions and such. I love the theme of it. I love the artwork of it. Kane Klenko's been on a roll lately with Fuse, another dice game that he came out with that I really love. And the mechanisms just seem really interesting to me. The theme looks good, and Renegade's been on a goal lately too. They've been on a huge roll. So for that, I'm looking forward to trying out Covert.
Number 4.
Now the next one is the only one I'm not absolutely sure will be there. This is called Captain Sonar. If so, it will be at the Asmodee booth. This is a game that plays up to 8 players, and from what I hear, it's best with 6 to 8 players. And it's a team versus team game where you each have a submarine and you're trying to sink the other submarine. And each player has a different thing to do on their turn. There's the engineer, and then there's the watchtower and the radio operator. And some of those are, you're listening to what the other captain's yelling out as to where they're moving, north, south, east, west, and someone's trying to draw and figure out where they are without crashing into an island. All these different little things that are going on. It feels and sounds similar to, say, sort of like a Space Cadets type thing, where everyone has their own role and someone's running the whole thing. And it sounds like a ton of fun, and it sounds like something that I would just absolutely love with all the different roles and such. So I'm really interested in Captain Sonar.
Number 3.
The next is a card game based upon one of my favorite games of all time, Manhattan Project. Now, the Manhattan Project came out many years ago, and it's a very popular worker placement style game. This takes that theme, that universe, even some of the mechanisms there, and puts it into a card game, which is supposed to be pretty quick, 20 to 30 minutes, and it takes and streamlines some of those mechanisms, but changes and adds some new things. Anytime you're talking about a standalone game that has to do in that universe, I'm going to be interested in it, but even more so because it seems like they've streamlined mechanisms, and having a card game of it will help with that. And the only problem with Manhattan Project is it's very long and it doesn't come out as often because of that. So if I can get a similar experience but streamlined with cards, I am super excited. So I can't wait to try out this new card game, Manhattan Project. I think it's called Chain Reaction.
Number 2.
Next is Ticket to Ride, Rails and Sails. This is a new big box version of Ticket to Ride, meaning it's a standalone game. It comes with all the parts. And so what it comes with is, in this game, it's 2-sided board. One side is the entire world. The other side is the Great Lakes. And there's 2 different decks, where one is the train cards like normal. The other are the sail cards with ships. Some of them multiple ships on there, and you have different pieces. You can decide how many pieces to take at the beginning of the game. You can decide when you're drawing which deck to draw off of, and things like that. So different strategies there. You can also build harbors, which will help you gain points. So overall, it just sounds like a completely different way to play the game, and I'm really excited about this because Ticket to Ride, I have every expansion for that. I have almost all of the regular games, and it's one I still play a lot and I love. So anytime you're going to take this to a different level like this, I'm going to be super interested. Ticket to Ride, Rails and Sails. Days of Wonder's putting this out, but I believe they will probably be at the Asmodee booth. If not, they'll have their own. But if you can't find a Days of Wonder booth, look under the Asmodee.
Number 1.
And the number one I'm interested in is Last Friday. This is from Ares Games, A-R-E-S. And this is a hidden movement game. I love hidden movement games. They're some of my favorites. Letters from Whitechapel's in my top 10 of all time. Spectre Ops I really loved. Even the old Museum Clue Caper that came out in the 90s I really love. Hidden movements are some of my favorite, and this kind of takes it and spins it on its head. Usually in hidden movement games, the person who's moving in a hidden form is the one being hunted. Where this flips that, where the one who's hidden is hunting everybody else. So you'll be moving around, you'll be seeing your pawns and other people's pawns moving around, and the one who's hidden is popping up trying to kill you like a slasher in a horror movie and you're getting scared. Seems like an awesome twist on this genre, but that's just the basic game. There's also 2 other scenarios where the second scenario, it goes back the other way where the people start fighting back and they're trying to kill him, more of the normal type of hidden movement. And then there's a third scenario where you have killed him and he comes back from the dead again. Oh man, I can't wait to check this one out because I love hidden movement, and any twist on that is going to be amazing. The components and the art and everything looks awesome. The board even looks sort of Whitechapel-esque with the numbers and how things are moved on. So that's the one I'm most interested in. Well, if I see you at Gencon, stop. If you see me walking around, stop and say hi. I'd be glad to meet you, and I'll see you there.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com.